Unexpected death at work. My husband, 33M, passed away unexpectedly at work on Monday night. At this time I don't yet know his cause of death. However, he is a stationary engineer and was working alone. They were understaffed despite his repeated requests to not work alone. The building has security and surveillance present 24/7. Well, at 9 p.m. he is last seen on camera entering the one auditorium. There are no cameras in this auditorium. He is never seen exiting. He never clocked out at 11 p.m. nor turned in his keys or radio into security. No one found him until the next morning at 7:30 am. OSHA is now involved in the case. I don't know if I have a case for anything. But I feel like had someone done their job he at least wouldn't have been dead on the ground for 10 hours by himself. I know I'm raw and emotional. But my husband died and no one cared enough to look for him. I also want to add, as I'm sure it will be asked. I'm located in NJ. He is part of a union. Also, he had no pre-existing health conditions. He had just been to the doctor 3 months prior and got a clean bill of health. Also to add, this building has a pending lawsuit from another union worker that had a speaker fall onto his head and he broke his neck, and can no longer walk. 3 weeks prior, my husband was stuck on a lift that broke down in the raised position. He had been radioing for help with no response. He almost called 911 for help but the lift started working again. Just wanted to give a picture of the safety of this building. Apparently I have to edit to add that a stationary engineer works with harmful chemicals and boilers. Every other building he worked at required that he not work alone. And that day shift was not allowed to work alone. I'm very sorry for your loss. If this death is related to a workplace accident, NJ law would require a payout of 70% salary for 450 weeks. There may be something more with the union, perhaps other things as well. There's a lot more that needs to be assessed first, obviously. At this time I don't yet know his cause of death. Then it's hard to say anything about whether you might have some kind of case against his workplace for wrongful death. Would it matter that he lay dead in a hall for 10 hours despite the building being under 24-hour surveillance? Almost certainly not. Once he was dead, it was too late. What matters is why he died in the first place. I'm so sorry for your loss. You need to contact a workers' compensation attorney immediately, today if possible. Let them provide advice that you can rely upon. Different states have different rules guiding who and how people are compensated when a family member dies at work, but at least where I practice, the burden is on the person seeking compensation to prove that they died in a workplace-related accident or due to a workplace hazard, not just that they died at work, e.g. no compensation if he had a stroke or heart attack unrelated to work. There are a myriad of factors that can affect whether a workplace death was actually related to a workplace hazard. The only person that can provide you with more details on seeking compensation is a New Jersey licensed attorney that practices workers' compensation. Most workers' compensation attorneys practice on commission and will meet with you free of charge. Most also advertise fairly heavily, so you should be able to find someone local to you using Google. But if not, check with the New Jersey Bar Association or your husband's union representative and see if they will give you a list. I'm sorry for your loss. Based on the information you provided here, there seems to be multiple potential areas of liability for your husband's employer. It also seems like the employer is not forthright or responsive to safety problems, which could result in the employer looking to cover up or be dishonest about what happened. I would suggest that you consult with wrongful death attorneys, particularly ones with workers' comp experience. I'm not entirely sure if on-site deaths are handled as workers' comp in your state, but I imagine there likely will be discussions with various insurance companies and regulators that might be interested in what happened. Your attorney can help you get answers, compensation, and possibly help ensure that the company is held to account for any safety violations that may have contributed to your husband's death. Try to avoid discussing anything substantive with the employer prior to hiring this attorney. The company may seek to undercut your future claims by offering minimal settlements or trying to convince you not to take action. My best recommendation for you, if one has not already been ordered by the county due to unusual circumstances of death, request an autopsy be performed. You should contact the coroner's office regarding this. Contact the union. They have a lawyer for sure. Even an ambulance chaser lawyer can help you. I know you must be hurting, But Reddit can't provide you with many answers at this point. If it was illegal for him to be alone, that should come out in the OSHA investigation. But if he did not die of a workplace injury, like if he had a heart attack, or if a medical incident created the workplace injury, like he had a seizure and fell off something, the employer will not be responsible for the death itself, even if he was not to be left alone. You should speak to a lawyer in your jurisdiction about what steps to take next, as the circumstance surrounding his death will lead your next steps. There is when he works with dangerous chemicals and boilers. Every other building he's ever worked in, they were not allowed to work alone. Day shift is not allowed to work alone. So that is untrue.